Dr. Valeth pressed her four-fingered hand against the observation glass and watched the human subject sleeping peacefully in the medical chamber. She had studied 17 different species during her career at the Galactic Research Institution on Station Meridia. None of them had confused her like humans did. "The results came back," said her assistant Korath, walking into the laboratory with a data tablet clutched nervously in his scaled hands. His yellow eyes were wide with something that looked like fear. "Doctor, I ran the tests 3 times. I thought the equipment was broken." "Ah." Valeth turned away from the glass. She was a Deshan, tall and slender with pale blue skin and large black eyes that could see in wavelengths most species could not. She had spent 40 cycles studying the biology of sentient beings. She had seen creatures that could survive in vacuum, organisms that lived inside stars, and beings made entirely of crystalline structures. Nothing had prepared her for what she found inside human bodies. "Show me," she said calmly. Korath handed her the tablet with trembling fingers. The data scrolled across the screen, and Valeth felt her twin hearts skip their rhythm. She read the information twice, then a third time, trying to understand what she was seeing. "This cannot be accurate," she whispered. The human subject in the chamber was named Marcus Chen. He was a maintenance worker from a small human colony ship that had docked at Station Meridia for repairs. He had volunteered for the research study after learning that the institution was studying the biology of newly contacted species. Humans had only joined the galactic community 7 cycles ago, and very little was known about their physiology. Marcus had been curious about how he compared to other species. Now Valeth understood why humans had survived so long on their dangerous homeworld. She walked to her workstation and pulled up the microscopic footage from the blood sample they had taken from Marcus that morning. The video showed something that looked like a battle from an ancient war. White blood cells moved through the sample with what could only be described as violent determination. They did not simply respond to threats. They actively searched for them. When the laboratory had introduced a harmless tracking bacteria into the sample for observation purposes, the human immune cells had surrounded the foreign organisms within seconds. Then they had torn them apart. "Observe the neutrophils," Valeth said, pointing at the screen. "They are not waiting for chemical signals to guide them. They are hunting." Korath leaned closer to look. The cells on the screen moved with clear purpose. They swept through the blood plasma like predators searching for prey. When one cell detected something foreign, it released chemical signals that called others to its location. Within moments, dozens of cells converged on the target and destroyed it completely. "I have never seen immune response this aggressive," Korath said quietly. "The Vrelian species takes nearly an hour to mount this level of response. The Castori do not respond at all without artificial medication." Valeth nodded slowly. She pulled up comparison data from other species in the galactic database. The differences were shocking. Most species had passive immune systems that required external help to fight infections. Many civilizations had developed advanced medical technology specifically because their bodies could not protect themselves effectively. Humans were different. "Their system does not wait to be attacked," Valeth explained as she examined more data. "It assumes that everything foreign is dangerous until proven otherwise. It attacks first and determines threat level later." She showed Korath footage of macrophages, larger immune cells that consumed foreign material whole. The human macrophages were enormous compared to those of other species. They moved faster, ate more, and survived longer. When one macrophage finished consuming a pathogen, it displayed pieces of the destroyed organism on its surface, like a warning to other threats. "They are displaying trophies," Korath said with horror in his voice. "Like warriors showing their kills." Valeth continued her examination. She found that human immune systems had multiple backup layers. If the first response failed, the body released different cells with different attack methods. If those failed, the body began producing custom weapons called antibodies that were designed to destroy specific targets. The human body could remember threats for decades, sometimes for the entire lifetime of the organism, and would respond faster and more violently if it ever encountered the same threat again. "Doctor," Korath said nervously, "what happens if we accidentally introduce a virus to the human while he is on the station?" Valith pulled up simulation data and felt a chill pass through her body. The model showed that most common galactic pathogens would be eliminated from a human host within hours. Diseases that would kill a Veshan in 3 days would barely make a human feel tired for an afternoon. But there was more concerning information. When she examined what happened when human immune cells encountered other organisms accidentally, the results were troubling. Their immune system does not recognize friend from foe with outside organisms, she explained. If human blood comes into contact with the tissues of most galactic species, the human cells will attack those tissues as foreign invaders. She showed Korath a recorded example. The institution had obtained a small tissue sample from a Vrelian donor and had introduced a tiny amount of human blood to it for observation. The human white blood cells had immediately begun attacking the Vrelian tissue as if it were a dangerous infection. Within an hour, the Vrelian sample was destroyed. "Their blood is toxic to us," Korath realized. "Not toxic in the chemical sense," Valith corrected him. "Their immune cells simply treat all foreign biological material as a threat that must be eliminated. They cannot help this behavior. It is automatic." The implications of this discovery were enormous. Medical exchanges between humans and other species would require extreme caution. Blood transfusions would be impossible. Even minor injuries involving mixed species could result in severe complications if human blood contaminated the wounds of alien patients. But there was something else that bothered Valith more than the practical medical concerns. She studied the footage of the human immune response again, watching the cells hunt and destroy with mechanical efficiency. She recognized this behavior. She had seen it before. Korath accessed the military database. "Search for combat drone behavioral patterns." Her assistant looked confused but followed the instruction. When the search results appeared, Valith compared them to the footage of human immune cells. The patterns were almost identical. The searching behavior, the coordinated attacks, the way multiple units converged on a single target. Human immune cells operated like military units conducting search and destroy operations. Evolution did this to them, Valith said softly. Their homeworld must have been extraordinarily dangerous. She pulled up the limited information available about Earth, the human home planet. The data confirmed her suspicions. Earth was filled with millions of microscopic organisms that constantly tried to invade and consume other living things. Bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi covered every surface of the planet. The air contained threats. The water contained threats. Even the food humans consumed contained organisms trying to colonize their bodies. Humans had evolved in a constant state of biological warfare. Their immune systems had been shaped by millions of years of fighting against invisible enemies that attacked without warning and without mercy. The aggressive behavior Valith observed was not an anomaly. It was a survival requirement. How did they survive such conditions? Korath asked with genuine wonder. Valith thought about the question carefully. Most species in the galaxy had evolved on relatively stable worlds with limited pathogenic threats. They had developed intelligence and technology without the constant pressure of microscopic warfare. Their immune systems were simple because they had never needed to be complex. Humans had developed intelligence while simultaneously fighting biological battles inside their own bodies every moment of every day. They had built civilizations while their cells waged endless war against invaders. They had reached for the stars while their immune systems hunted and killed millions of threats with every breath they took. They survived because they had no choice. Valith finally answered. Aggression was their only option. She saved her research data and began composing her official report to the institution. The galactic community needed to understand what humans were capable of biologically, not because humans were dangerous to other species, but because they represented something extraordinary. Most civilizations had needed technology to fight disease. Humans had been born as weapons against disease. Their bodies were self-contained battlefields where defensive forces worked constantly, without rest and without mercy. Valith looked through the observation glass at Marcus Chun one more time. He had woken up and was reading something on a portable screen, completely unaware of the warfare happening inside his body at that very moment. He did not know that his blood contained billions of soldiers fighting battles he would never see. He did not understand that his immune system was conducting military operations that would overwhelm the medical defenses of most galactic species. To him, it was simply normal. That was perhaps the most remarkable thing of all. Humans lived their entire lives surrounded by invisible threats and protected by invisible armies, and they considered this situation so ordinary that they rarely thought about it. They took for granted a level of biological defense that other species could only achieve through advanced medical technology. Valith finished her report and submitted it to the Institution Council. She included a recommendation that humans be classified as a Category 3 resilient species, the highest rating in the galactic system. She also suggested that all medical facilities update their protocols for treating human patients. She knew her report would cause concern among some council members. Humans were still new to the galactic community, and some species were already uncomfortable with how quickly humans adapted to new environments. Learning that humans possessed internal biological armies that could attack foreign material aggressively would not ease those concerns. But Valith believed the galaxy needed to understand humans properly. They were not monsters or threats. They were survivors of a world that had tried to kill them from the moment they were born. Their aggressive immune systems were not weapons designed for conquest. They were shields forged through millions of years of desperate struggle. Every human who walked through Station Meridia carried that history inside their bodies. Every drop of their blood told the story of countless generations that had fought and died against invisible enemies. Their immune systems were monuments to survival, built cell by cell through the suffering and triumph of their ancestors. Marcus Chen finished his reading and looked up at the observation window. He smiled and waved at Valith, a simple gesture of friendliness from someone who had no idea what secrets his blood had revealed. Valith raised her hand and waved back. She found herself feeling something unexpected toward the human. It was respect. Deep, genuine respect for a species that had turned biological warfare into art, that had transformed survival pressure into defensive perfection, and that faced the universe carrying armies inside their veins that would fight anything, anywhere, without hesitation and without mercy. The galaxy had welcomed many species over the centuries, but it had never welcomed anything quite like humans before. Their immune systems proved that Earth had created something special, forged in biological fire and tempered through endless microscopic battles. Humans were not just survivors. They were champions of a war most species never had to fight.